Good morning. Today I would like to show you some religious paintings. Those paintings are dating back to the 15th and the 16th century, and some of the themes are found almost everywhere in Christendom, when others are more particular. They appeared actually at the end of the 15th century and disappeared from the catalogue of permitted paintings by the church in the middle of the 16th century. We are west of Cahors, near the Lot River Valley. I propose you to discover two magnificent little old village churches. And the first of these two churches is to my left. It is the church of Saint-Pierre in the village of Martignac. Follow me.
Wow.
Yes, huh?
It's beautiful. It
Yes.
seems like in the chapel of Le Chélat with paintings all over the walls, no?
Yeah, yes, it's true that the walls were covered with paintings. Something you might see is that these are not frescoes, but tempera paintings, which are less durable. Although some of the paintings are not contemporary, some are dating back to the end of the 15th century, when others are more recent.
And what could be the message suggested by these paintings?
Here is what is going to happen on the last judgment day, what you have to do, what you don't have to do to avoid hell. That's the message. Of course, all the story happens under the eye of God, who is represented in the vault of these apse. There is another important person who is represented. It is Jesus. Without Jesus, no salvation, according to the Christians. And there are two episodes involving Jesus. The first one is probably his birth. You see those beautiful, really beautiful angels. They are kind of stretching a curtain, probably around the cradle of the baby Jesus. It has disappeared. And the other episode is much more sad. Here it is an entombment. You recognize the bloody body of Christ is dead, lying. You see Mary the Virgin in the middle, and the three other Marys, Mary Magdalene, Mary Salome, Mary Cleophas, and probably Nicomedes or Joseph of Arimathea, who took in charge the funerals of Christ. It's very moving, actually. But now, yes, we have to look at the northern wall, the upper register. It's
in bad conditions. Is it because of the vault?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. This groin vault has replaced a former wooden ceiling, but it's still comprehensible, because you see those little bodies getting out of their graves or their coffins. You see other souls who are kind of praying Jesus, who was probably sitting in majesty where the base of the vault is now. And actually, to the right, you can see a man with a beard. It is Saint John the Baptist. He's praying God, he's pleading on behalf of these souls to avoid hell. But actually you see that, the game is up for many of them. You see that they are struggling in hell. There are the legs of a kind of monster, a devil. And you see women, men, they are in serious trouble. But for some other souls, there is still some hope, and we can see that this time in the opposite wall. You see those flames. It could represent the purgatory, and you see the souls that are taken by angels. Souls in the Middle Ages are often represented in the form of a baby, a naked body. You see that they are kind of presented by the angels to this saint, of course with such a big key. It is Saint Peter. You see that there are angels playing music. Another person who is very important is the big angel with his sword. Of course it is Saint Michael, and Saint Michael, you remember, is the one who is going to weigh the good souls and the bad souls. And behind you see this massive big fortified tower, which is a representation of the heavenly Jerusalem. And what happens in the walls of Jerusalem, this beautiful representation, kind of triumph of Christian religion, represented by the coronation of the Virgin. She is kneeling, while behind her, to our right, is God, to the left is the Christ, and above the Holy Spirit. In other words, a representation of the Trinity. So now let us look at another style, another kind of painting. It's very different. You see those grade register, which is representing the virtues. Actually, there are seven virtues. It's a theme that was very popular among the Christians, at least since the 4th century, with the poem written by the poet Prudentius, who wrote a poem which name is Psychomachia, in other words, the battle of souls. And he speaks of virtues represented by women wearing armors, and they are fighting the vices, also represented in the form of women in armors. Don't worry, the virtues triumph at the end. So a very, very popular theme, so it's quite normal to find those virtues again here. Actually, they were divided in two categories. There were the three heavenly virtues: charity, faith, hope, and four cardinal virtues, which were fortitude, prudence, temperance, and justice. Okay, if you follow the virtues, it's good for your soul, you will probably be saved. The problem is that you can follow another track, especially if you follow what we call the Cavalcade of Vices, the Cavalcade of the Vices. If you joyfully take part to this parade.
I can see persons in lane, like riding animals, no?
Yes, that's the theme. Actually, it's a series of very characteristic persons. Each of them is representing a vice, a sin, and they are kind of pushed, they are chained towards the mouth of hell.
Those characters, are they painted in a special order or not?
Yes, there is a hierarchy in the scenes. If you like, we can start by the less deadly, which is now, yes, right in front of us. It would be sloth. It is represented by a man. He's, how do you say, bowing down his head because sloth leads you to sadness. You see, he's not very well dressed. He has even lost a shoe, and above all, he's mounting an animal very characteristic of sloth. You will recognize the moor here. It is a donkey. Then you would find this young man who is driving his dagger through his chest. It is a representation of wrath. It is written here in Latin, ira. And why suicide? Because wrath leads you to madness. Madness is destroying. You are destroying yourself across madness. And he's mounting a kind of big, very aggressive dog, probably a war dog. The next one is my favorite. I am sure that you recognize him. It is gluttony, in Latin gulla. You see that it's a big guy. He's mounting a pig, of course, and you see that both hands are busy, one with a glass of wine and the other one with a piece of ham. Next one is less clear, but anyway, it is envy. It is represented by a guy whom a demon is showing him something probably very precious for him. You see that he's trying to grab this thing. I don't know what kind of object it is, and the animal is not that clear. Perhaps a leopard. A leopard was an animal unclear for the people of the Middle Ages. The next one, you will notice that it is the only woman, and of course it is the vice, the sin of lust. This time you see this elegant young woman. She is sitting on a goat. The goat is a symbol of impudicity, and she's having in her right hand a little square mirror, the symbol of frivolity. And unfortunately, there were two more sins, greed and then pride. They have disappeared, but I will show you those sins in the next church that we are going to tour soon. It's raining, and here we are in the second village, the village of Lamas. Actually, the church, the gate is just beside us, but we need to go for the keys. Look at that.
This is a smaller church, and the painting is in better condition.
Yes.
I see another one here. Look, it's Jesus.
Yes, it is Jesus, and certainly it is represented for the same reason as in Martignac, for the salvation of our souls, is a sacrifice. And actually, you can see two registers. This one is in very bad condition, but you can see it is the flagellation. You see the Christ who is tied to the column and is whipped. You see the big whip of the torturer. And of course, this one is more well known. It is the betrayal, the kiss of Judah. You see Judah with his orange red hair, Christ, of course, in the middle, the soldiers, and to the left you see a character who is certainly Peter, with a very, very big sword, kind of saber. He has just cut off the ear of this guy, Malchus, who is lying here on the ground. He's bleeding, but of course the most important painting is on the opposite wall. As you said, it is another of these Cavalcade of Vices, very good condition. You can see that it is the same order as in Martignac. If we start to the right, you can see first this splendid yellow demon with a club. He has a crocodile face. He's pulling the big chain. And the first character, the first vice, nothing very particular, except that Thoth is mounting a donkey, of course. Then after you find Wrath, exactly the same, the suicidal. This guy is killing himself because of the madness of Wrath. And then after was still here Gluttony, which is in bad condition. It's the only one, but you can still recognize him thanks to two things. First is the two nostrils of the snout of the pig, and of course la queue en tire-bouchon, as we say in French, the curly tail. This is a pig, and there is also the remain of what was probably a kind of jug or a pitcher. And after you find Envy, he's probably sitting on another breed of dog, maybe a hound, and you see that a demon is showing him something probably very important for him. And after that, richly dressed is again the only woman of all this register. Beautiful red dress. She also has a mirror, symbol of frivolity, as we saw in Martignac. Of course, she's sitting on a goat or a billy goat. And then after, the two persons we could not see in Martignac. This time it is Greed in the form of a rich merchant with a big purse. He's got two big sacks, two big bag of golds, and the first one sitting on a lion. It is, of course, the representation of pride. It is a noble represented with a precious, expensive fur dress. He's got a hat with some feathers, but above all, on his fist, he has a falcon, and falcon hunting with a falcon was meant for aristocracy. So this is a pride, and all these people are again pulled towards the mouth of hell, the mouth of the Leviathan, big mouth with those two sharp canines.
Bruno, I understand everything you told me, but I really don't feel frightened at all. Perhaps because of the face of these devils, they look so funny.
Yes, actually they look funny, particularly the fourth one with his tongue, it's quite funny. In the 16th century, it was not frightening because it was too much, In addition, this menagerie in the middle of the church was not really propitious to prayer. You see a lion, you see a goat, a pig, you see, that was too much, particularly at a moment when the church was looking for more severity, more seriousness, in order to better fight against Protestantism on the ground of austerity. This is why, after the Council of Trento in 1563, this kind of popular representation was forbidden, and most of these representations were either effaced or hidden under a coat of plaster or paint, fortunately for us, because it has kind of protected them from time damages.
Okay.
So I did not show you the most beautiful cavalcades that you could ever see. If you go to the south of France or to Italy, you will find other marvelous representations. But those two paintings I showed you today in Martignac and Lamas, they do not lack charming simplicity, and that's the most important. Okay, I hope that one day you can tour yourself those beautiful churches, and it's time to leave. Don't forget to take back the keys. And in order to complete our series about the Cavalcade of the Scenes, we have chosen among many other churches this one, which is the Church of Saint-Pierre de Pervillac. But I have to warn you, if you want to tour it, you will have to find the key. So just like in the Church of Martignac or the Church of Lamas, one can be stunned by the former quality of the paintings, although they were made al fresco. And of course, we will recognize the same kind of themes taken from the Gospel or the Bible. If you look at the choir above, you can see Christ in majesty. He is surrounded by the tetramorph. Another character to the right is easily recognizable with his huge key. It is Saint Peter. You also see Saint Mary and baby Jesus. And here to the left, there is a beautiful painting representing, well, it's easy to see the Last Supper with Christ in the middle. Of course, in the nave itself, on both walls, you will see some very usual themes. For example, here, a big representation of the purgatory. One can see the souls waiting in the flames, waiting for their judgment, which is right above. It's a little difficult to see. And of course, to my left, a representation of the Cavalcade of the Scenes. It's also in bad condition, but I am sure that you will recognize some characters that are familiar to you. Here, one can still see the grid, a man with a glass of wine in his right hand and with a ham in his left hand. Here you can also see a representation of lust, this beautiful woman with her mirror, and to the left a representation of this elegant man, representation of pride. But actually, if we are here, it's not only to see and speak about the paintings anyway. There is something or somebody else that I would like to introduce to you. Actually, this person is little put aside as if he was kind of punished. And this person is right there. Actually, it is a statue of a saint. One can read his name, Saint Expedit or Saint Expeditus. He's wearing the uniform of the Roman soldier. In his left hand, he has the palm of the martyrs. Okay, nothing special until now. Except that if you carefully watch, you will note that there is something written at the base of the statue, the word cross, which is repeated, cross, cross. And you can also see that Saint Expedit is kind of trampling a bird. So the story goes that at the beginning of the 4th century, during the persecutions organized by the Emperor Diocletian against the Christians, Expeditus was a Roman soldier, and he was beheaded because he refused to deny his faith with some of his friends. But the legend goes now that before, when he was still a pagan, the day when Expeditus decided to convert to the Christian faith, the devil, of course, was really upset, decided to transform himself, the devil, into a crow, and flying around Expeditus, he was repeating cras, cras, croaking cras. And cras in Latin does mean tomorrow. And we all know that tomorrow is often never. But Saint Expeditus answered, Odie. Odie, you find it written on the cross that is showing in his right hand. And Odie in Latin means today, now. And at the same time, Expeditus was kind of trampling the crow. This is what is represented here. That made of Saint Expeditus the great specialist of fighting against procrastination. Of course, one could be surprised that such a beneficial saint is now left aside in a shady corner of the church. But after all, it's not so amazing when you know that during its long history, in the church, there were rigoristic currents who only accepted the cult of Christ. Just to give you an example, at the beginning of the 20th century, Pope Pius X asked that the statues of legendary saints would be taken out of the church and their names suppressed from the martyrology. I personally consider that Saint Expeditus is not that a fake saint. At least it is a very old saint, since his name is already mentioned in the 5th century in the Martyrologium Hieronymum. It is also not that surprising to find Roman soldiers who were Christian, since it is said that at the beginning of the 4th century, at least half of the Roman army was made of converted soldiers. And perhaps Saint Expeditus made part of these soldiers who refused until death to deny their faith. It is perhaps time now to make a link between this disfavored Saint Expeditus and those paintings, because both of them were kind of discriminated by those rigoristic currents, particularly after the Counter-Reform in the 16th century, when the Church decided to hide those paintings behind a whitewash, some paint, because they were considered like too naive. Actually, in intellectualizing the cult, in concealing the statues of Saint Expeditus or hiding the paintings, the Church has deprived itself of a popular devotion that is now missing a lot.